and welcome to a very special video on the NB Drives channel. And that is because I've finally gotten my hands on a Mercedes G-Wagon. Now, for those of you in the know, you'll understand exactly why I'm so excited to film this video. Apart from the history and heritage associated with this iconic car, there's also the fact that this specific car is the performance raciest version of the G-Wagon you can get, as it is the AMG G63. Now, I'm also going to give you a little bit of background on what the G-Wagon name means. The G-Wagon essentially stands for Gallendale Wagon, which in German translates to off-road vehicle. And through all those iterations, it's been narrowed down to G-Wagon over the years. Over the course of this video, I'm going to give you a quick walk around of the exterior, give you a look at the interior, and bring you along for a drive to Nandi Hills, as I'm in and around Bangalore for this shoot. So join me for that and let's get into this video. Let me quickly give you guys an overview of the design of the G-Wagon. So if you guys come up close, you'll see that there is an all-new bumper down here, which is one of the only ways to tell the facelifted 2025 car apart from the older one. And it will require eagle-eye viewers to be able to spot the difference, because it's a very subtle change, essentially down here. Now, because this is the G63 performance version, it also has the Panamericana vertical grille, which looks quite sporty, and over the years now we've come to associate that with performance versions of AMGs anyways. The other thing that you'll notice are that it's got these lovely headlights. They're LED units and they have this circular daytime running light element that helps it pop out compared to most other cars on the market. And another iconic design touch that's not changed over the years with the G-Wagon is the fact that the hood sits atop the front of the body. So it's sort of a clamshell, but it's very differentiated from the rest of the body. It's not integrated. Same can be said about these indicators also. This is another very heritage-oriented design touch where this sits on top of the fender rather than integrated in it. Lastly, out here, right in the center, you'll see that being an AMG version, it has the Affalterbach logo there instead of Mercedes-Benz. Now, if you come around to the side, you'll see that this is a big car, it's boxy, and it looks quite cool in my opinion. Other things include the fact that this is a heritage design touch also. This lining that goes all the way around the side of the car. It's not really needed in today's day and age, but it harks back to the older G-Wagon. And I also like the fact that the car has such nicely flared fenders, look so muscular and sporty. And within those fenders sit these really lovely 22-inch alloy wheels. I absolutely love them. They have this center cap, center locking wheels, which just look so sporty. I think one of the best multi-spoke designs. The rest of the profile is so upright. You can see the windshield is pretty much vertical. The tailgate is vertical. It's like a cliff back here. And the last thing you'll notice is the height. I'm 6 foot tall. I'm not short. This car does make me feel really small in front of it. Now, if you come around to the rear, you'll see what dominates here is the spare wheel. It's a tailgate mounted spare wheel, and it is finished in body color because there's the performance version. But I'll also quickly make a mention that this car has the Night Pack on it, which means that it has a bunch of gloss black accents, as you could see on the grille, on the sides, out here on the tire wheel, and all the badges are blacked out as well. So there's no chrome here, and I think it looks really sporty, especially in this white version. Now, if you look down here on the bumper, one thing you'll see missing is tailpipes. And you'll be wondering, hey, how can this car not have tailpipes? It's a performance car. It's got a V8 under the hood. Well, for that, you need to come around to the side. And there are the dual exhaust pipes mounted on both sides, which give it a really cool look. Also make the sound more audible inside. However, I'd love to know what you guys found the most interesting detail on the G-Wagon, or if you think any of its competitors can outdo it on wow factor. Let me know in the comments below. Getting inside the G, you'll see that the unique design of this cabin is very different from any of the other Mercedeses that are on sale today, like the really new ones. And that's primarily because the G's interior has been carried over from older models, and the form factor is very different from everything else because this is quite narrow. It's very up against the windshield. It's also very upright, unlike many new cars which have a very flowing waterfall like dashboard. And apart from that, there are a few things on this car. Well, you get a grab handle out here, which is quite nice and convenient for passengers to have when they are sitting and have to go off-road, something to hold on to. So because there's the G63 AMG model, it's got carbon fiber inserts here on the grab handle as well as on the dash here. Also, everything else that you touch in this car is feeling very quality because it's all either leather wrapped or really high quality plastics. And you see out here, it's very soft leather. And what I really like on this car is that there's a contrast stitching that is in red, looks quite exquisite, and it definitely adds to the sporty character of this car. Another thing is the headliner. It's got this Alcantara finish, which also I really like, makes the car feel very posh. Now, if you're to talk about the features that you get on the G, well, there are a few things that would be lacking if you compare it to other flagship mark, especially if you're going up against something like the GLS, because now that recently got facelifted and it has 3 screens that span the entire dashboard. However, that said, I don't think that the kind of buyers that get this car really care about those kind of features as much. What you do get here is this nice 12.3-inch infotainment screen. It's a touch screen for the first time in a G. When it got facelifted last year, that's when they introduced the touch screen, which would probably be the most convenient way to use it. It's also got wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is convenient because most of us just use Google Maps, and the easiest way to get that up here is through wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The next thing is the digital instrument cluster. It's very customizable. The dials, you can get a really sporty layout which shows you your G forces, it shows you your speed, rev, all that kind of stuff. You can also go for a very simplified look on the dash as well, where it'll just give you your speed readout. And apart from that, you have typical Mercedes steering wheel. It's a nice flat bottom leather wrapped steering. Feels quite nice. I like that the paddles, both of these have a metallic finish to them, and they are metal. They feel cold to the touch. So that's a nice thing in terms of quality and touch points. What I don't like as much are these capacitive touch switches on the steering wheel. They aren't the best to use, and because they don't have that tactile feel, you're not 100% sure when you've clicked something whether it's actually happened. So you have to look back down on the cluster to see whether the changes you've made are correct or not. Now, other features that you get in here, you do get a wireless charger. It's not the most practically designed because my phone got sort of stuck in there. I'll show you a clip of that. You get 2 cup holders, nicely positioned. You get this cover that conceals this entire section, which is nice, makes the cabin look nice and neat. Your glove box, not the deepest, but not too bad considering the size of the dashboard. And of course, these round AC vents that allow a fair amount of customizability. They've gotten quite popular. A lot of other car makers have tried to copy this. So that's always nice to see. And I like how they have this tactile click when you turn the vent on and off. And of course, this being a G, you get a lot of actual switches, which I'm so glad this car has, unlike a lot of other modern Mercedes that are just doing everything on the touchscreen. So let's quickly go over some of the off-road hardware in this car. And as you can see, you have your 3 locking differentials here, which you can, when you're off-road, go and select. So that's front, center, and rear. Then the other off-road things that you get in this car. So if you go into the settings, Here, if you go into the off-road menu, first up you get a lot of telemetry. So your active air suspension, your angle, your exact position, your altitude, which is all customizable on this page. Another interesting thing you get is the under bonnet camera, which essentially as you move your car ahead, it'll capture the ground below you and you can basically see exactly what's under the front end of your car, which is quite useful when you're off-roading. Getting into the G is a climb up into the cabin. You really do need to use those steps. And one thing that I really do like about this car, but also you need to remember, is closing these doors takes much more effort than you'd imagine it to take, even when you get comfortable. So one sec, I'm gonna insert a clip of the doors right now. You can hear them open and close. But now moving on to the second row space, you'll see there isn't really a lot. Considering this car is 4.8 meters long, it does not feel it back here. I am 6 foot tall. This seat is set to my driving position. And as you can see, the amount of knee room I have about 2.5 inches of knee room. And it feels less than that in terms of how much leg space I have, primarily because of how the seat backs have been scooped. They've been sculpted so that you have a little bit more space up here than you do down there. And yeah, it doesn't feel like I can really stretch out. Like if I stretch out, my feet are tucked under the front seat. There isn't really much room for me to move. But on the other side, you're good on headroom. So I have a good 4.5 inches of headroom. And I'm sure even taller occupants will not have an issue in that department. Now, one thing that has been improved over older Gs is that there's no transmission tunnel here anymore. So there is space to seat another in the middle. However, if I come here, you'll see that because of how the seats are positioned and the fact that there isn't a lot of width in this cabin. Again, this car is nearly 2 meters wide, but a lot of that goes into the flared wheel arches on the exterior. So the cabin itself feels much more compact than the dimensions suggest. Now, in terms of equipment, you do get these handy infotainment entertainment screens back here, and I like that the touch screens, they're responsive, they give you a fair amount of controls over your media and other car settings. However, I feel like they make the cabin feel even more claustrophobic or hemmed in at the rear, mainly because they're right in your eye line, and it just reduces the amount of space that you feel like you have. Other things, you get your independent climate zone at the rear. So that's your third zone, which you can control from toggle here, as well as your fan speed. And if you look down here, you'll see that there are two USB Type C charging ports on the left. And on the right, you have two mini HDMI ports, which you can use to plug in a console or something and stream stuff to the entertainment screens back here. And you also get this nice armrest. It comes down fairly ergonomically. I think my elbows are well positioned, though the armrest in the door is a little too low owing to the design and the really large window. So I think most people will just end up resting their arm on this upper windowsill. But the good thing here is that quality has not dipped at all compared to the front. Everything is soft touch, leather wrapped, feels really premium. There's a good amount of padding here, so it's almost like Mercedes new people are going to use this as the armrest. I also like that the window controls, both at the front and rear, are up here. It's a quirky design touch that I think helps separate it from a lot of other SUVs. Another thing I want to talk about while we're here in the second row is about the comfort. Now the seat itself has a really good level of padding, and of course the leathers used at the back, very premium, nice to the touch. But a few things that you need to note. One is that the outboard seats, they have this contouring that helps hold you in a little better. Second, they've got isofix points in case you want to put child seats back here, which would be useful for families. Uh, then we also talk about the fact that both the outboard seats have seat heating, which I think in India you should probably have given seat cooling as a standard feature rather than heating, because this will only ever come in use if you go up north. You also get a nice function where there is a handle out here which you can press to recline the seat. So right now it's in its most upright position, and if you see, I can go back nearly 20 degrees, and that makes it a whole lot more comfortable in terms of the seating position. This honestly, I feel, is a good compromise considering that the rest of the space is not as good as you'd expect. This makes it more bearable for road trips for sure. Now if you come to the rear, you will see the tailgate is a side hinge tailgate, and when you open it up, this specific G-Wagon's been optioned with the wooden floor inlay, which is quite a hefty option. I'll put the exact price on the screen somewhere. And this is roughly 600 liters of boot space, which is quite impressive, and you can fit a fair number of large suitcases. So it'll be very happy doing the airport run. It also gets this parcel cover. So once that's up, people won't be able to peek into what you're storing in your boot, which is a nice safety thing to have. And if you see, there's a subwoofer for the Burmester sound system back here as well. You can also fold the second row down and get nearly 2000 liters of cargo capacity, which is quite a lot. So if you need to move things around, you can use your G-Wagon for that. So from behind the wheel of the G-Wagon, there is a lot to like about in this car, and honestly there is a very characterful and quirky sensation you get from this car, which I absolutely love. So a few things that you need to know about this car before I talk about dynamics, because I've been driving this for a bit and I took it up on the Nandi Hill roads. I'll have clips of that now. It is a big car. Now, over 2 meters wide, nearly 2 meters tall, so that means center of gravity isn't great. This is a body on frame SUV, very traditional, meant for off-roading. It's got 3 locking diffs, but at the same time there's a crazy duality to this car because Mercedes has gone ahead and fitted it with 22-inch wheels, very sporty suspension that is a little on the stiff side, and an engine that is bonkers. So it's got the 4-liter twin turbo V8 that we have gotten to know quite well over the last couple of years, almost a decade now. It was in the flagship AMG GT sports car that they sold, and essentially has been in every AMG, high-end AMG since. And this engine's lovely. It's got such a good sound to it. It burbles. It's got this deep almost like humming to it when you're at low speeds, and when you get going and you're on it and you turn the sports exhaust button on the steering on, it crackles. On the overruns you'll hear even louder burbles, and it's just a very fun sounding engine. If you like this section of the video, you might enjoy the ASMR style video I have of the G63 going up Nandi Hills. I have that linked in the description as well as the pop-up banner. And it's also a very nicely free revving engine for a twin turbo. Again, the same system. There's a 48 volt mild hybrid system on this new G-Wagon, new generation, which is supposed to help a little bit with fuel efficiency, but I don't think that is on the top of your mind if you're buying one of these cars or driving it. It does also give you a 22 horsepower boost, so when you're in sports plus mode, that is available to you through the mild hybrid system. And it is quick, this car. Like, it's got 585 horsepower, 850 newton meters of torque. That's insane. That's more torque than the fastest SUV I drove. So that's the BMW XM. In case you're interested, I will link the video on the card somewhere there. That had more power. That has 650 horsepower or 625, I don't remember the exact figure, but it had less torque. So this car, when you want to get on it and stab the throttle, it pitches its nose up and it just gets going, and it feels like it's so effortless with the way the throttle works and the overall sensation of the car. It is quite sporty. Now additionally, this setup also means that you've got a fairly nice steering wheel on this in terms of weight and feedback. Though the downside is that because the overall structure of this car is off an off-roader, it does feel rolly even now in the corners. And despite the stiff suspension, despite it being pretty fun, it's dynamically not as capable as a lot of its performance SUV counterparts. So I'm talking like an Urus, an RS Q8, even a Porsche Cayenne. They will be more fun to drive. But what they can't beat is that king of the road sensation that this car gives you, because you sit so high up. You sit higher up than most other SUVs also, and you can really look down on people. Also, I feel like people do get out of the way for you, because there is that sense of, it's a little bit menacing, this car. And if you enjoy those kinds of things, you'll really enjoy this car specifically. Now I have my friend with me, Yash. If there are any things that you want to point out, feel free to add.
Well, I think you can compare it to other cars, but just this car sits apart just on its looks, right?
Yeah.
Like, it looks classic yet modern.
Yeah.
It looks like it has this different kind of a command on the road. We have an X7 right up ahead of us,
Yeah.
and this just feels different.
You sit higher, it also gives a very different sensation, in the sense that this does not feel soft by any means, despite being a luxury car, despite it cocooning you, right? Like when you drop the windows,
Yeah.
you can hear so much noise.
Yeah.
But everything about it feels rough and tough.
And that sound is just amazing. It's this strong sound, like this bubbling sound. It's still calm and confident. It's not screaming, but that confidence kind of gives the driver that confidence, to be able to drive it in a certain way. One could say this is not bad for Indian roads either.
Yeah, honestly, the huge ass wheels aside, it feels like there's nothing on the road that'll upset it at all, in terms of potholes, in terms of when the road goes missing.
Yeah.
You're not worried, and that can't be said about a lot of the performance cars. Like, just playing off the experience I had. Oh, we just went over a really bad speed breaker.
Well, we felt that.
We did, but it was a really bad one. When I had the XM, I was on edge with that car for a large part of it. When I was going over bad roads, I was really having to keep an eye out for potholes and things. Not because of anything apart from the fact that I was worried that that car might get unsettled is definitely more performance oriented. So in that sense, if I'm spending so much money, this does give me more peace of mind. Another thing I remember you pointing out was the seats.
Yeah, I'm in love with this feature. I wish more cars had this. When you're going through sharp turns and curves, even
Hugs you
not
tight.
yeah, it just hugs you. These pads on the side of these buckets
So
seat kind
the
of
bolsters, the
yeah.
feature is called active bolstering, and yeah, it's basically supposed to be designed so that anytime you go
Yeah,
into a
right now.
corner, yeah, like if I'm turning too much, it basically hugs you tight, keeps you upright, and they're supposed to reduce the amount of fatigue when the driver's having too much fun.
For an off-roader, this car is gonna spoil you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for comfort, for drive quality, for that driving fun.
Yeah, I think you've got the categorization just spot on. Like,
Yeah.
treat it as an off-roader, and you will be blown away by what this car gives you.
Yeah.
Benchmark it against luxury SUVs, you might be left wanting.
I mean, this could be your daily driver and your that weekend fun drive as well. I think so.
It can be. It can be your one-car garage if you want it.
Yeah.
You might want something a little lighter, more nimble for your weekend stuff. But if you can't get one, like if you can only own one car,
This will be enough.
yeah. So just playing off those last few thoughts, I wanted to round out my video with a conclusion of the AMG G63. And with the amount of time that I spent with it, better part of a day filming it and driving it, I have to tell you guys that I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. Anytime I jumped in, got out of the car, walked away from it, heard it drive around, it just put a huge smile on my face. And that's not because it's a perfect car, it's actually really far from it. Now, this car costs the better part of 3.5 crores, and that's before options. That is the price of a pretty decent apartment in any major city across India. And for that price tag, paired with the fact that it has a Mercedes badge, a lot of people would assume that this is actually the last word in luxury. It has to be. But to those people, I have to disappoint you and tell you it isn't. If you want a purely luxury oriented SUV, you'd be better off looking at something like a Range Rover, a Bentley Bentayga, or even Mercedes' own Maybach GLS 600. Then those same people would be like, oh, it's an AMG, it's a G63, it's got a twin turbo V8 and it makes a thunderous noise. It has to be the last word in performance. And then again, I have to disappoint you by saying it isn't. If you want outright performance, something like an Audi RS Q8, a Porsche Cayenne Turbo, Lamborghini Urus, or even something like a BMW XM, which I have driven by the way, there's a review of it which I'll link in the description. All these cars will give you far better performance for the money and will feel far more athletic to drive compared to this G63. So then, given that it's not the most luxurious car, it's not the sportiest car, and it costs a house, you'll be left wondering, well, what does it compete with? And I'd say this goes up against the uber luxurious off-roaders. That is the only segment where you can really benchmark it. And in that comparison, you would have to look at it against something like a Toyota Land Cruiser, the LC300, or something like the Land Rover Defender, specifically the V8 or the Octa variants. Now, I have done reviews on both of those cars. However, I've not driven the Defender Octa, and I really hope to someday because I think that would be the closest match for this car. All that said, there's just something about how many quirks you have to live with to have this car. It's not going to be an easy car to live with around town. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be horrendous on mileage because, gosh, that V8 drinks fuel like nobody's business. It's loud, it's a little obnoxious, it's in your face, and I'll be the first to admit there are gonna be many people out there who this car just does not appeal to, specifically because of those drawbacks. But if you're in that minority that appreciates all its quirks, all its nuances, that give it that colorful character, I'm sure, like me, you will completely understand why this would be an easy enough car to purchase if you had those kind of funds lying around, or potentially be your one car dream garage. However, you guys let me know, if you could have only one car, would this be it, or what would it be? Let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, cheers.